Division of Evangelism Strategies International, or ESI for short. There's a fantastic graphic of a globe in the shape of an eye, and that's really our vision. It's to mobilize churches around the world, whole churches around the world, to return to the Great Commission. So, these are the regions of New Zealand, which is where we live at the moment. Jesus' command was to sow each region in New Zealand with the gospel, either spreading it or proclaiming it for the glory of God. And we get that from Acts 1:8. His plan is to use all the Christians in each region to do this, not just those with the gift of evangelism. And also, not just to sow it once, but to sow it repeatedly. We want to make sure everybody in Northland has heard the gospel at least once, delivered with love and grace, but we'd love them to hear it multiple times. That's the ideal. Take Northland, for example. In Northland, there will be leaders of churches who want to lead by example in evangelism, and in so doing make it possible to mobilize all the people in their church for evangelism. Let's say 10% of pastors will be like this. We don't know what the actual percentage will be, but let's just say it's 10%, because we found that if leaders set the example in evangelism in a church, the rest of the church will follow. But if they don't, it's very, very, very difficult to mobilize the rest of the church. There will also be churches whose leaders aren't ready to lead in evangelism, but there are people in their churches who want to obey Jesus and his command to evangelize the world. Well, let's say 90% of the churches are in this group. Well, here's the question. How are we going to identify and train the people and their pastors in both groups? That is, in the 90% and the 10% groups. How are we going to identify these people, and then how are we going to train them? Okay. Well, in 2015, we are inviting churches in Northland to host what we call the 12 Lost Truth Conferences. Now, after the people in churches and their pastors have been to this conference, they will know whether they want to, the pastors will know whether they want to lead by example or not. And that's a crucial issue. These conferences are usually held on a Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So it's only a Saturday conference. ESI will work in-house and closely with the people and pastors of the 10% to help them mobilize all their people. For the people in the 90% of churches who want to activate in evangelism, we will meet with them once a month in a central location, e.g. in Whangarei, to coach them. What would happen at these monthly meetings? Well, we'd stoke the fires of evangelism in the hearts of people who come. And there's a great graphic. We'd encourage each other, which is absolutely hugely important. We'd pray for each other. Don't you love those ladies praying? Look at that. Isn't that great? We'd inspire each other. We'd inspire each other to be more accurate with the gospel, more loving and gracious with the delivery, more uncompromising, more skillful with dealing with non-Christians, and so on. So we'd inspire each other to go up a level in all those areas. There will be relevant, practical, quality, meaty Bible teaching on topics related to evangelism. These coaching sessions will definitely not be like that photo. So they will definitely not be boring. Really important, we'll build friendships and relationships so that people know that they're not alone. That they're not just doing evangelism all by themselves in Northland, but there's a whole army of people who are doing it, and so we want them to really know that. That's extremely important, that they're linked in with other Christians all over Northland. The people who come would be given the option of using a variety of tools to communicate the gospel, not just those developed by ESI, Evangelism Strategies International, so people could bring their own tools, as long as they faithfully proclaim the gospel message, of course. We'd send the people back to their churches equipped, inspired, encouraged, and skilled, able to do evangelism themselves, and able to teach others how to do evangelism. Who would do the training? Initially, the coaching would be done by Craig Horan, the Northland leader of Evangelism Strategies International. Craig is already well known to a number of leaders in Northland, so he is proven, endorsed, and accepted. Craig will also be looking to train and equip local churches so they can become coaches. That is to say, he will be discipling Northland evangelists, because this is a long-term vision to mobilize the church in Northland for the Great Commission and to keep it mobilized. The last thing we want is a flash in the pan, something that's just a temporary thing. So we want a long-term vision to mobilize everybody in every church to be faithful with the Great Commission and the evangelization of the world. With ESI and the churches of Northland working together, we can obey Jesus' command to evangelize Jerusalem, which is for Northland is Northland, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost parts of the earth. The same pattern and plan will apply to every region in New Zealand. Let it be so. Okay, if you want to contact us, there's all the contact details of the key people around the country. So we would love to connect with you and talk with you and just chew the fat. All right, God bless you. Thanks very much.